Have you ever just wondered why we're all so divided on huge issues like immigration? It turns out there might be a hidden logic to it all. Today, we're diving into how our deepest, most invisible values, kind of like the operating systems running in our minds, can actually predict where we'll stand with some pretty shocking accuracy. Seriously, what if you could just peel back all the noise and all the shouting in our political debates and find a clean, simple mathematical pattern underneath? A pattern that doesn't just tell you what people think, but gets to the very heart of why they think it. Well, let's start with just one number. There it is, plus 0.0479. Now I know it doesn't look like much, right? It's just a tiny decimal. But trust me, this small, very precise number tells a huge story about how we see the world. So what this number actually shows is a real, statistically significant link. And here's what it means in plain English. The more a person's entire worldview is built on the importance of rules, of duty, and of order, the more likely they are to look at illegal immigration and see it as one of the biggest, most urgent problems their country is facing. And get this isn't just a pattern found in one city or one country. This data comes from a massive global poll. We're talking over 2,000 people across 97 different countries. When you see a pattern that consistent, that widespread, you know you're looking at something much deeper than just politics. You're seeing a fundamental psychological framework in action. Okay, so let's get to the why. Why does this correlation exist? To really get it, we need to talk about a concept from a model of human development called spiral dynamics. Specifically, we're going to zoom in on one particular value system, a psychological mindset that researchers call blue. Think of the blue mindset as a kind of operating system for your brain. It organizes the world around these core principles of order and stability. It really values clear rules that are supposed to apply to everybody, a strong sense of right and wrong, and this deep feeling of duty to uphold the traditions and the structures that keep society from falling apart. For this worldview, the rule of law isn't just a nice idea. It is the absolute foundation of civilization. So here's the crucial thing to understand. For a mind that's running on this blue system, the concern about illegal immigration isn't really about rejecting people. The real pain comes from watching the system itself seem to erode. It's this feeling that the social contract, this shared agreement we all have to follow the rules, is being broken. The ideal world, the gain, is one where the process is respected, creating a sense of fairness and stability for everyone. Now, of course, no single perspective sees the whole picture. The source material is quick to point out some serious critiques of this view. An intense focus on the rule of law in just this one area can create some pretty big blind spots. Things like maybe overlooking the immense human cost, ignoring the complicated economic factors at play, or even a potential lack of compassion for why someone might break these rules to begin with. And what's so fascinating is that the blue mindset isn't the only one with a strong opinion here. Not by a long shot. Different value systems look at the exact same issue and see completely different things, which leads them to totally different conclusions about how important it is. Okay, just look at this data. You see our blue correlation there, right? But look at red, which is all about power and action, and purple, which is driven by tribal safety. Their positive correlations are even stronger. They also see it as a huge problem, but for different reasons, as a threat to their power or the safety of their tribe. And then you have green. Motivated by community and harmony, it flips completely. It has a negative correlation. That means the stronger your green values, the less likely you are to see this as a top national issue. This quote just nails the blue perspective perfectly. It's not just a policy problem. To them, it feels like a fundamental break in the trust and the shared rules that make society even possible in the first place. Boom, here's the complete contrast. For the green value system, this same situation isn't a breach of rules at all. It's a moral call to action. It's an opportunity to make the circle of us even wider, to extend our empathy and our support. This is the fundamental clash of values right at the heart of the whole debate. So, what do we do with all this? This is where it gets really, really cool. Once you understand these correlations, you can move beyond just describing what people think and start actually predicting it. We can begin to build what the source material calls an algebra of conscience. And using this algebra represents a huge shift in how we make decisions. The old way of thinking was simple, just cut costs, be more efficient. But the new goal is way more sophisticated. It's about making choices that maximize the psychological stability and well-being of the entire group, because we can finally measure the invisible costs of things like fear, division, and mistrust.
To show you how this prediction stuff actually works, let's use a super simple example from the source material. Imagine a company announces that every single employee has to take an unpaid vacation. It's one action, right? But the reaction is going to be anything but simple. The model can predict wildly different outcomes based on the team's dominant values. A purple or tribal-minded team, they see it as a shared sacrifice, and it actually makes them a tighter group. An orange, achievement-focused team, they see it as a huge roadblock to success and start updating their resumes. And a green, community-minded team, they accept it, but only because it means saving their coworkers' jobs. It's the same action, but you get 3 opposite results, all predictable if you know the group's hidden wiring.
So let's bring this powerful idea of prediction right back to our main topic, immigration. We can use the exact same logic to forecast the ripple effects of real-world policy decisions before they even happen.
Let's ask a direct question. Imagine a company says, hey, we're putting in a new policy to prioritize hiring recent immigrants. With this algebra of conscience, we don't have to just guess how the current employees might react. We can make a pretty solid prediction. A team that profiles as heavily blue will almost certainly raise concerns about fairness. They'll ask if the same rules are being applied to everyone, focusing on the integrity of the process. Meanwhile, a team with a strong green profile, they're likely to champion the policy, seeing it as a beautiful expression of their inclusive humanitarian values. If you understand this ahead of time, you can anticipate the friction and manage the change so much better.
And all of this leads us to one last really big thought. The data seems to show that our deepest values don't just color our opinions. They literally construct the reality we experience. They define what we even see as a problem in the first place. So if our internal maps are that powerful and that predictable, it begs the question, can any of us ever really see the world with true objectivity?